Olin.
Hello, David. How are you?
I kind of woke up out of it, man. Not that the listeners care, but didn't feel like myself. And I don't know if it's a sleep thing, a groggy thing, if it's allergies, but we're going to find a way to make it through.
All right. Well, it could be all of the above here. Allergies give me a hard time.
Do they?
Yeah.
So
even though I'm not suffering from them right now, I feel good.
I feel better here than I do in Houston. But I'm on allergy shots as well, and I gave myself a shot on Monday. And maybe that's just what happens afterwards. It gets stronger each time you do it. So trying to get rid of all these allergies, but we have a loaded show today. Very excited. In this first hour, Charean Williams is going to be joining the show. I haven't talked to her on the show. I've talked to her many times in the past, never on the show. So she'll join us here at 8:20, talk a little bit about everything going on with A&M and also her eye on the Cowboys as well. Beyond that, Chris Gordy, Locked On SEC, joining us at 9:05. Aggie legend Ty Warren joining us at 9:35. Bronny with Recruiting Country, presented by Caprock Health System at 10:05. And the great Gary Blair in studio at 10:35. That's what I call a loaded show.
That is a loaded show.
I love Gary.
Great guy. Great guy. I was the last person to ask him a question before he was the Texas A&M basketball coach.
Oh, is that right?
In person, I know. Yeah, because I was covering Texas versus Arkansas in Cincinnati in the NCAA tournament. And after the game was over and he was about to leave, I said, "Hey, Coach," I introduced myself. You know who knew I was. Reintroduced, and I said, "There's a lot of speculation that you're going to Texas A&M. Can you confirm it or deny it?" And he said, "Well, Olin, right now I just don't feel like even thinking about the future. We just lost." He said, "I'll get back with you." I said, "Okay, thanks." Probably within, definitely by the next morning, but probably within hours, it showed up on USA Today that he was going. So they already knew.
He was a high school coach in the Dallas area.
South Oak Cliff,
yeah.
Golden Bears, Sock, where my aunt was a teacher once.
I read something about him. I'm going to ask him to clarify that he initially wanted to get into baseball. He wanted to be a baseball coach, and he kind of ended up with women's basketball and become a legend there.
Well, he reminds us often that he pursued a journalism career and didn't realize how much sports writers don't make.
Right.
He decided to be smarter than the rest of us and shift gears.
Well, we've got a fun topic for the show today, and one that, look, it's the day before camp or before they report, and obviously Friday they'll get things started. But when it comes to A&M and you look at that roster and you look at what this season could be, if the Aggies are as good as we think they're going to be, they might have a guy there as a potential Heisman finalist. But who on the A&M roster has the best chance at being a Heisman finalist? I want you to let that kind of sink in, and we'll definitely discuss it throughout the show. But obviously, quarterback's the first thing you think of when you think of Heisman. But there are a very capable running back there, wide receivers, plural, that we can discuss in that as well. And the other thing I kind of wanted to talk about this segment, and we'll make it brief because it's not necessarily about A&M, but I saw the report yesterday that the Big 12 and the Pac-12 had some conversations about maybe some kind of strategic partnership. I doubt a merger. I don't think the Pac-12 needs that at all, but maybe some kind of scheduling partnership. We'll see what happens there.
Yeah, again, I could see maybe Texas Tech or Oklahoma State, but beyond that, I mean, what teams really give you a lot if you're the Pac-12? And you know what? They keep saying how the Pac-12 needs to get into the Central Time Zone and get their games earlier because there's an East Coast bias. It's funny that there's the East Coast bias shows up when your conference isn't very good.
Right.
Was there an East Coast bias when USC was always playing in championships? Or didn't I see Oregon play in a couple of championships? That East Coast bias started about the time USC got destroyed by Alabama in the opening game in Dallas a few years ago.
Do you believe there is a coast bias in sports, though?
No, I don't. I believe that when you win, and you win against good teams, Oregon was being pumped up a few years ago, and then they lose to Auburn when Bo Nix was in his first game as a collegian, and so the hype kind of died down. Win the games, and you will get in the in the playoff. Washington's been in the playoff.
What about beyond college football? Do you think there's a bias with East Coast sports in baseball?
Well, I think that they get more like I hate to listen to some of the radio that we have here.
Thanks, man. I'm right.
Well,
here,
wait a minute.
Right next to you.
I'm not done. Some of the we have here that's not local,
right?
And it's so much about New York-based sports because I think ESPN radio based in New York and figures that's all anybody cares about.
Bristol's right across the street.
I'll give you an example. One year on, I was driving to work on college football day, and the ESPN, they had a guy talking about the New York Knicks.
I think I heard this too. And they were nobody at the time.
Right. And he's like, well, what could they do in this and this? I'm like, it's college football day, and you're talking about the New York Knicks. So, I guess there are those that from a national media that get preoccupied with that. But if you're in the college football media, and that's really what matters for college football, I don't think there's a bias. I don't think someone says, "Oh, I'm not going to vote for USC in the poll because they played at 10:30."
Maybe not a bias in the fact that you won't vote for them for that reason, but the attention span of the fans at home and who are watching games. If you've been watching games since 11 a.m., are you going to stay up for an Oregon game that's at 9:30? You might.
Some will, because I think the Pac-12 After Dark was great marketing. I thought it was really good when they had a game on Friday. But again, win your non-conference games. Show that you're a good conference, that your teams are good, and people will watch and people will take notice. But when you go out and get absolutely slammed when you play outside of your conference, why should anyone think that you're good?
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think sometimes the programs that are historic and the franchises, Cowboys are always going to lead if they're relevant. The Yankees, Notre Dame, there are certain franchises, regardless of how good they are, if there's something relevant going on in their world, they will lead. And I think USC is one of those schools. When things are going great for USC, they're all over SportsCenter.
Hey, I've covered Pac-12 games, right? And I've been at places where they draw 40,000 and they feel like it's a good crowd. So even their own fans don't watch.
Right.
Yeah, and I covered a USC Stanford game that went into 3 overtimes when Andrew Luck was a quarterback at Stanford, and now the Coliseum was sold out, and that was as good a atmosphere as you'd see in any SEC game. But that was the marquee game of the year in that conference that year. But I've seen Georgia and Arizona State play, and I think I saw more Georgia fans there.
Well, going back to the slogan of the SEC, it just means more. It really does mean more in those communities in the South. Who was it on the show the other day? Maybe it was Coach Sherrill. Somebody talking about the 70% of Alabama watching college football, and it was the biggest market to watch it. And then you had, I think it was Birmingham he brought up, and then Houston and obviously in Dallas being in the top 5 of markets watching college football. But there is a relevancy factor to what that's the only game in town in those SEC markets, or the only game that matters.
Well, I know that I've been asked to do radio interviews this week in Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, Huntsville, Alabama, Florence, Alabama. I finally cut off the guy in Mobile. And yesterday, I don't even know where the guy was from.
The guy from Mobile, we saw him there, right? That he made you wait a little bit to get on the air?
I didn't. He never called, so
okay.
he's done. But but you know what? I was talking to a guy yesterday, and I'm not going to say the show, but he says the question I was asked. One of the questions was, "Are Aggies upset with Jimbo Fisher because?" And then he says, do they feel like they're getting their money's worth because they got the big contract? Meanwhile, his guys just got $11.5 million.
Right.
And he says, and outside of having Jameis Winston now think about this. Outside of having Jameis Winston as his quarterback, he's never really done anything. And I said, look, I don't know what you're looking at, but I explained that Florida State was 7-6 3 years in a row in their last 3 years under Bobby Bowden. Then they won 10 games in his first year, then won 9, won a national or won 12, a national championship, then 3 10-win seasons, and then explain what he's done at A&M. And he said, and he won 10 games in an all-SEC season. I'm thinking, you're saying that like it's not a great accomplishment.
Right.
I even point out, if they had been able to play their 4 non-conference games and play Alabama late instead of early. Who knows how that season would have gone? So there are those that supposedly know college football, I will admit, that aren't read up on what's going on.
Yeah, and unfortunately, A&M sometimes is one of those programs that nationally people just won't look at them the way we look at them. And not because we're fans or in the community, but a 9-1 team in the SEC any year is phenomenal.
Absolutely.
Hey, let's go around and say hello to the crew. We go to the Fishbowl where Dalton is hanging out. Good morning to you, Dalton.
Oh, good morning. Happy Wednesday. Yeah, I've got that same allergy thing going back here.
Yeah, buddy.
Not the best feeling in your throat.
I can hear it.
We'll fight through. We got stuff to do. We'll get to it.
Yeah, it's quiet over there. I don't see as many people as I normally see back there.
Yeah, I think they all decided to stay up to watch Dodgers-Astros.
Oh, can you remind me of the score of that game, just in case Richard's listening? I don't know. Who won that game?
I have no idea.
I think the Astros won
3-0.
Yeah, I think so. Huh? And they were throwing trash cans on the field, and that's interesting.
3-0.
3-0. Oh, Lance McCullers is good. Hey, let's go now to the News and Social Center with Tori Esprovoa. Good morning to you, Tori.
Good morning, guys.
What's going on in your world and news and headlines?
Well, right now I'm kind of following Annie Coons just because I just recently saw TexAgs' new video about her, and I really enjoyed watching it. So I've been following her today. She has a heptathlon javelin event today at 10:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. She raced today in the 200 meter at 6:30 a.m. and she finished 4th in the women's heptathlon 200 meter. And then she also raced but she had a shot put at 5:05 a.m. and finished 3rd place in her group.
All right. Well, we're going to be following her, of course. I have not met her, but I know you guys all have a great relationship with her.
Wonderful person. Her dad played for the Oakland Raiders.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, but she's just a delightful person to be around.
Well, we're going to have her here, hopefully right afterwards, and if on Zoom or in person, either way, I'm looking forward to meeting her and chit-chatting. All right, so the agenda for the rest of the hour. We do, by the way, it is TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, bearing my lead.
Soccer style, too.
I heard that, yeah, I knew that. Looking forward to chatting with her about that. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. In the next segment, Charean Williams is going to be joining us. We'll be breaking down all things A&M and also going on in the NFL. If you want to be a part of the show, the BCSI Associates hotline is 979-693-1150, or you can text us on that same number on the A&B text line, 979-693-1150. 21 and 21, number 18, coming up today at 8:35 a.m. You're listening to TexAgs Radio.
Become a Facebook friend and get even more. More of the Zone. More of the Zone. Like us on Facebook at Zone 1150. 1150.
Since 1957, Slovakic Sausage in Snook has been making the best tasting sausage in Texas from the same family recipe. Slovakic is the official sausage of Texas A&M Athletics. Whether it's from the grill to the family gathering or from the pit to the neighborhood party, serve the sausage voted best in the Brazos Valley. Serve Slovakic. Be sure to come in and check out their full-service meat market, relax on the front porch, or grab some fresh kolaches from their bakery on your way out. Slovakic Sausage, Highway 60 in Snook.
Howdy, this is Steve Bledsoe, fighting Texas Ag Class of 83, with some exciting news. Verabank is now open with our new full-service location on Highway 6 in College Station. With personal bankers, business bankers, Verabank has everything you need in one convenient location. Come see for yourself, where genuine banking is waiting for you, and you can bank on it.
Visit verabank.com today. That's VERA bank.com. Verabank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Hey parents, when it comes to your child's education, there's a lot to consider. No matter what you're searching for, search the Bryant Broadcasting half-price tuition program first. We've partnered with schools and learning centers throughout the area to get your students started with high-quality programs at half price. Right now, we're featuring half-price tuitions at Happy Camper School, Multilingual Academy, Sunshine School, Kitty Castle, and more. Half-price tuitions are first come, first served, and availability is limited. Go to halfpricebrazos.com.
Hey, it's David Nuño. Texas is known for football, barbecue, and hot summer temperatures. And typically, the hotter the weather, the higher your electricity bill. But with some help from Energy Ogre, a Texas technology company, you can lower your bill by up to 40%. In fact, we signed up 2 years ago, and they saved my family 35%. Energy Ogre will find you the cheapest electricity plan in your area. Manage all future contracts, saving you time and money. Go to EnergyOgre.com and enter code HOWDY for a free month of service. That's EnergyOgre.com to start saving today. If you missed TexAgs Radio presented by David Garner's Jewelers, you missed this.
What did McGee do this time?
He mentioned that...
Because I'm going to have dinner with him this week. We're going to have to discuss these little panic sessions he induces. He is a panic driver.
Nightmare scenario is Jimbo leaving for maybe, and I think he mentioned LSU as a possibility.
And here's the thing. That's the little gossip going around on message boards and golf courses. I know Jimbo Fisher loves it.
He's not leaving if they make the college football playoffs and he's got a national championship.
Well, no, that's an absolute no. But I think even here's this he's going up this mountain and he's at a point in his career where this is a real challenge, and this is establish yourself as one of the all-time greats in this game. To win one as an assistant in the SEC, to go win one at Florida State where you replaced a legend, and then to do it where it just hasn't been done in modern history.
It's TexAgs Radio on The Zone. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Garner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Want to remind you folks that our YouTube channel is up and running. We're doing the first part of the show on YouTube. And in the chat right now, a very nice friend of the show, Mama Tiger. She's an LSU fan, but she's dominating the chat. So you guys need to go over there and make sure that she recognizes that this is an A&M show, not an LSU show. But please be sweet, because she's a very sweet lady. And she's been on the YouTube page here the last couple of days, so we appreciate her joining the show. But with that, OB, let's talk a little bit NFL and Texas A&M. Charean Williams joining us here on the BCSI Associates Hotline. Good morning to you, Charean. Are you still playing golf?
Well, actually, I did not play golf today. I have an interview with Bruce Arians at 11 o'clock, so that between this and that kind of no golf today. So no golf this week, because I leave for the Hall of Fame tomorrow, so golf is out this week, unfortunately. With such nice weather, it's too bad, but I am looking forward to the Hall of Fame. And I'm looking forward to talking to you guys, too.
Well, we're pumped to have you, Charean. One of the things I wanted to get into, we haven't talked since I started the show. First off, just your thoughts on how the last couple of weeks have played out with all the madness in college football.
Well, what's done is done, and, a lot of us don't like it, but we have to accept it, and I think I'm at that acceptance stage, where, okay, let's just go out and beat the crud out of them. Let's just show them what the SEC is all about. So I think that's where I am right now. I didn't like it when A&M went to the SEC. I thought it was a bad move. I was wrong, and I hope that it turns out in A&M's favor this time, too, with the two teams coming in. And there may be more than two teams. I just think everything changed with the court rulings in college football, and it's now professionalized, and it's going to be a whole different picture. And I'm not going to be surprised if the NCAA goes away in a few years, or is just around to run the championships. Frankly, I don't know if they're going to have any other role in this thing. And I think the SEC is really going to take charge of where everything's headed in college sports. So change is on the horizon. This is just the first or second or third, or however you want to phrase it, change that we have seen in college sports and that we're going to see in college. I think there are many more moves to come.
So how do you think A&M will do this year, and how do you think Texas and Oklahoma will do when they finally do enter the SEC, whenever that is?
I think they're in for a rude awakening when they get there, sort of like what A&M was. It's just a different game, and you better have a Johnny Manziel to help you steer through those first couple of years. You think back to how much he helped A&M really get into the SEC and compete those first 2 years, and after that, your recruiting is better and all that. So you better have a really good quarterback if you want to compete in the SEC right away. And Oklahoma has had that, and I think they'll compete. Now, their problem is they've won however many Big 12 championships in a row. It's not going to be like that in the SEC. So get used to not winning championships, Oklahoma, because that's going to change for you greatly once you get in to the SEC. But, yeah, OB, the Aggies are going to do well this year. I think we all expect that. It goes back to the quarterback. That's what we were talking about. If quarterback plays well, this is going to be a team that's going to compete for the championship. If the quarterback doesn't play well, whoever that is, they're probably not going to. It's all on the quarterback. As well as you can run, as good a defense as you can play, you still got to have that quarterback play to compete and win championships. That's the bottom line. If the quarterback doesn't play well, you're probably not going to compete for those titles.
Charean, how important is it, though, for a young quarterback like Haynes or Zach to have that amazing ability to have different playmakers, wide receivers, Anais Smith, you name it, all over the place?
Yeah.
How important is that for a young quarterback?
Well, it's a great point, David. You got to have that to compete. And I look at the Cowboys last year when they didn't have Andy Dalton, when they didn't have Dak Prescott, when they're playing some of those young guys, despite the weapons that they had, they didn't play very well offensively. So it still goes back, how well does the quarterback play? How good is he? But the weapons certainly help. There's no question about that. I mean, you go back to Johnny Manziel, young in his career, what did he do? He threw it up to Mike Evans. And, a lot of my Texas friends joke, well, Mike Evans was really the Heisman Trophy winner. Maybe he was. I mean, he made such great catches for Johnny. Johnny would throw it up there confident that Mike Evans was going to come down with the ball. And I think that's what either one of these quarterbacks has to do. They have to be confident that these receivers are good enough to go make plays, and they are. Give them a chance. Let them go make the plays for you. You don't have to be totally great. You just have to get it to them and let them help you be great. And if you do that, then this is going to be a very successful offense and a very successful team this year. That's the one question mark, I think, that the Aggies have right now is who is that quarterback and how good is he going to be? But he has the weapons around him, and that makes things much, much easier, no question about it.
Well, speaking of quarterbacks, that team that you cover on a pretty weekly basis has some quarterback issues. I heard their starter's been hurt lately. How good is he in terms of health?
Yeah, well, he's got a shoulder strain right now, and, they keep saying there's no concern to that. They've kind of backed up the timeline on his return, just letting him sit, not throw for a bit, come back next week, see how it feels, see if it's ready to throw, but I have a little bit of concern simply because of the ankle, and the ankle is fine. The ankle is 100%. He said he buried any thoughts of the ankle injury at Cinco de Mayo when he went out and danced on the dance floor, and the ankle held up just fine, and he hasn't thought about it since. Oh, that's well and good, but we know there's one more hurdle to clear, and that's getting hit. That's being in game action. I mean, they baby you at practice. We know that. Wear the red jersey, which, by the way, until Mike McCarthy came in, Cowboys quarterback never wore a red jersey, green jersey, whatever. They wore the same jersey as the rest of the team. So first time in team history that they've ever worn that special jerseys. But that started last year. So he's wearing the red jersey like all the quarterbacks wear, and they can't touch him. And so he's got to take that hit. And you would prefer, I think, not that you want him to get hit a lot in the preseason, but I think you would prefer that he take off and run, whether it's a slide or whatever it is, but just to know that ankle is going to be okay and hold up. Getting over that first hit, getting over that first run outside the pocket in real game action is still to come for him. So my point is, I don't know that he's going to play in the preseason. He's not even making the trip to the Hall of Fame game, which we didn't expect him to play tomorrow night. But I don't know how much he's going to play in the next 3 preseason games. And I think having not played since week 5 of last year, you would like to see him play, and I don't know that that's going to happen. But otherwise, I think the shoulder's going to be fine once they get into season. However they manipulate it. But, it's just a thing that needs some rest right now, and he'll come back and be okay for the season. But you need him out there. You know that. And this year, certainly you don't have a backup behind him. And I know there's people clamoring, let's go get a backup. No, don't go get a back. You had Andy Dalton last year. You won 6 games. If Dak Prescott doesn't play this year, you're not going to have a very good team. Bottom line, that's it. It doesn't matter who you have for a backup. You can go trade for Nick Foles if you want. You're still not going to have a very good team if you don't have Dak Prescott in. You put all your money, all your resources, everything into Dak Prescott winning you a championship. If he's not on the field, then you don't have too much of a chance. Yes, you'll have a better chance if you have a better backup than with one of these guys that you have out there, whether it's Garrett Gilbert or Cooper Rush or whatever. But I just don't think you want to go spend that money on getting a veteran backup quarterback.
Sure, we talked about the A&M wide receivers and the playmakers that they have around them. Dak's got some as well. Talk a little bit about that wide receiver crew with Amari, CD. You got Michael Gallup. They do got a lot of playmakers.
I love Michael Gallup, and I just think he's so special. And after this year, whether it's the Cowboys perhaps moving on from Amari Cooper, which they can do contractually, they can move on from him and re-signing Michael Gallup to a big deal, or whether they try to keep all three of them or whether he goes somewhere else, he's going to get a huge contract, I think, next year. And I think he can be a number one receiver wherever he goes. But that's the thing about this receiving core. Amari Cooper's been a number one. CeeDee Lamb can be a number one, and Michael Gallup can be a number one. So you have three number one receivers. So that just makes them very difficult to deal with from a defensive coordinator standpoint. And then you look at the tight end position. Dalton Schultz has looked terrific so far. And we know Blake Jarwin is coming back from that injury. And then you have Ezekiel Elliott, who's trimmed down. So this is going to be a very difficult offense to stop. Now, they haven't looked great at camp yet. They haven't looked great, but it's early. And I think at most points in camp right now, the defense is usually ahead of the offense. So I don't have any concerns that once they get out there that they're going to be really, really good and rack up a lot of yards and probably a lot of points and try to outscore teams. But the defense has got to be better, too, if they're ultimately going to get to where they want to go. I think the one thing you worry about, David, offensively, is obviously the offensive line and all those injuries, especially at left tackle. Tyron Smith, how is he going to hold up? Now he's already out of practice. And he's only 30 years old, but, those injuries start piling up, and they don't get better as time goes on. So you do worry about him getting through now an extra game in the season. Don't forget there's 17 games, so is he going to be able to get through a 17-game season? And I don't know that he will be able to, but you hope he at least plays most of those games, if not all of those games.
Charean, we're up against the break, but quickly let me ask you about Deshaun Watson. Do you see a scenario where he does end up with the Eagles?
I think he will be traded at some point. When that is, I don't know, but I don't see him playing this year. I really think he'll end up on the commissioner exempt list, which is a paid suspension, and he'll play some time for somebody else next year.
Great stuff as always, Charean. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
Take care. Charean Williams here on the BCS Eye Associates hotline. When we do come back on the show, 21 and 21 presented by Factory Builder Stores. We're hitting number 18 on the show. It's going to be a good one. You're listening to TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on the Zone. The Caldwell-Burleson County Lions Club presents the movie Ratatouille Friday, August 13th at the Caldwell Civic Center. Doors open at 6 and the movie starts at 7. Canned goods or non-perishable food items are good for admission. Life Point Christian Church is hosting a community event on Saturday, August 14th from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. Free food, clothing, and toiletries will be available for those in need. Find the event on Facebook for more information. Now on display at the Arts Council, refrigerator art. Art created during summer art camps and Saturday adult classes will be displayed in the lobby gallery through the end of August. Stage Center Theater is holding auditions for Sleuth on Monday and Tuesday, August 16th and 17th. For more information, visit stagecenter.net. You can hear Houston Astros baseball on the Zone and select games on Gospel 97.3 FM thanks to Kelly Burt Dozer. When you need to make the earth move, call Kelly Burt Dozer. I'm Chelsea Reber on the Zone.
When your diesel truck or construction equipment needs DEF WPI has the best price in town. Only $8.50 for 2.5 gallons. Regardless of your machine's make or model, WPI can help. From custom hydraulic hoses, O-rings to teeth, buckets and blades. Any part, filter, fluid, battery, or lighting is at your local WPI. Visit Jesse James at WPI's new location in Bryan, Highway 21 east at Marina Road, or click WPI.com.
If you have a debit card, you're used to spending money. But what if your card actually ended up earning you money? That's not exactly normal, but that's what you can get at A&B. It's called Casasa Cashback Checking. Don't mind the weird name. What you need to know is that it's a free account with cash rewards. Use your debit card for everyday purchases, and we'll pay you cash back every month. If that doesn't sound like normal banking, well, guess what? We're not a normal bank. So contact A&B today and ask for Casasa or visit ANB.com. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
The flagship station for Aggie Athletics is The Zone. Whenever the Aggies are playing, you can hear them right here at 1150 and 93.7 FM. Thanks to our listeners and our sponsors for backing the Aggies all season long. First Financial Bank, Bryan College Station Toyota, Rudy's Barbecue, Schulte Roofing, The Sleep Station, and Pioneer Steel. Here's a big gig-em to all these sponsors. Listen to Aggie Athletics on The Zone 1150 and 93.7 FM.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin.
I'm scrolling through the television, and I told Jay I found myself watching Hollywood Exes.
He always finds the most random stuff to watch. It's investigative or some kind of reality show.
Because it's on television, and it's good conversation because some of the stuff that they were saying, I was like, really? Where was I at when all this was going on?
It's Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin. ESPN Radio. Mornings 5 to 8 on The Zone. Thanks to WC Tractor.
It is the Quiet Storm here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. You can let that song play out a little bit. We don't have to cut it off so abruptly. It was a jam. That's one of your favorites.
Yeah, one of my all-time favorites.
What is it called again?
I don't know.
That's the name?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It did have kind of a Steely Dan kind of feel to it, though.
Yeah. I don't mind it. In fact, I'm going to put it on my...
I wonder if we should, generate our own bumper music, our own Texags bumper music.
So I didn't see it, but apparently our gay Buck likes to sing a little bit.
Yeah. I would have never suggested that.
No, I'm not going to suggest that either. But apparently he does.
Yeah. Liucci is a surprisingly good singer.
What?
Yes, surprisingly good. I was shocked.
What about Dancer?
I've never seen it.
Okay, good, because I'm not dancing on this show ever.
Does Nuño know what Quinn's first words were, Obi?
What?
Bad singer?
Oh, yeah, bad singer. I'm a terrible singer. It wasn't his first word, but they were real.
Very early on.
Yeah, he's like, you sing to your kid, Of
course you do.
And as soon as he could talk, he's like, bad singer. I had to congratulate him on, his good evaluations.
Yeah. Well, I am not a good singer, and I still sing to my kids every once in a while, and I catch myself like, if anybody saw this, what a loser. But it makes them laugh, even though they're 13 years old, the boys at least.
I mean, I have a bad talking voice, so imagine a singing voice.
You don't have a bad talking voice.
Okay. It's raspy. One time my doctor said he was going to call in and say, hey, I think you need to come in. I need to check out something, make sure you don't have something going on.
Right. But you never got checked?
No, he just started figuring out, I guess that is how he always. When I sound good is when I get sick. I'm the exact opposite. I've been sick before and I get this deep Dave South kind of tone.
That's opposite.
Yeah, it really is. It's crazy. Irma says, that's when I can have the 900 number.
Right.
It gets real deep. But no.
Well, it is time now to do 21 in 21, presented by Factory Builder Stores, celebrating over 30 years as the largest contract distributor in Texas. They sell appliances, 7 showrooms across 6 cities from Texas. You got Austin, College Station, Corpus Christi, Dallas, Houston's got a couple, and San Antonio. They're very knowledgeable. And they are a phenomenal group. Make sure you go check them out. Go see Jason and John over there at Factory Builder Stores. All right, OB. Our number 18 on the 21 in 21 is the
quarterback.
Whoever that may be.
Whoever that may be. And I typically don't like the idea of grouping two guys into one position because, or one ranking.
Right.
Because, have the, if you're going to do a rank, have the stones to say, okay, this guy's better than that guy. But we have absolutely no idea. And we watched them in the spring game. They both moved the ball. They both had one turnover or one interception. They both had one fumble. One guy has a huge arm, but can run. One guy's a great runner, but has a good arm. Yeah. So they have their strengths and weaknesses. But we've not seen either one of them play. Jimbo Fisher is, I don't want to say raving, but he has spoken confidently about both.
Yes, he has.
And he feels good about both. So, we're talking about two guys that look, even though they're different in their strengths, look pretty even in all reports. In his career, Zach Calzada has completed 50% of his passes. In his career, Haynes King has completed 50% of his passes.
Even Steven.
Now, Zach has thrown more, but he hasn't run like Haynes has run. So, again, which way are you going to go? But you look at him right now, and I can understand why Jimbo Fisher says, this is a dead heat.
Every day we do this show, and we do this topic, 21 and 21, I always mention if we redo it at the end of the year, which we may do. I think we're actually tinkering with the idea of having you guys vote and being part of the process for the end of the year for 21 and 21. But at the end of the year, if Haynes King or Zach Calzada live up to what we think they can be, and this is a powerful team going to the college football playoffs, that number 18 ranking will shoot up to a top 5.
Oh, if they're going into the playoff, they're definitely in the top 5 because, like Charean said, you need a quarterback now, an effective quarterback. It doesn't have to be an All-American, but you need a very effective quarterback. And if you're in the top 5, then you're going to be led by an effective quarterback. And I think both of these guys could be effective quarterbacks.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see them both play early on. And even if he names a starter, we're going to see, because you've got to get them both ready for when the SEC play comes. You have to. So I think we'll see them both. One of the things I will say, and I don't have Calzada's high school stats in front of me, but I do know about Haynes King. The guy is a winner. 37-2 in high school. That is a winner.
Yeah, I watched him pretty close because I used to cover the Longview Lobos back in the day. And so I know how important that team is to that community.
Right.
And so it was fun for me to keep up with him. And then I found out he was like the fastest guy in the school. And let me tell you something. If you're the fastest guy at Longview, you're a blazer. So, but I remember watching their playoff games when he was a junior and they won the state championship. By the way, won their with Haynes at quarterback, won their first championship since 1939.
1939 of all years.
Yeah, how about that?
How about that?
Do it again, Haynes.
Dude, or you own 1939.
Or Zach.
Yeah, whoever.
Whoever.
Again, and I think we both want to reiterate, we're not trying to make this, we just don't know. There's not enough proof. Like, it's different when we're talking about Damon Demas yesterday, where there is different, we know he's going to play, right?
Yes.
We know because skill position players, they're going to find the field in some way, shape, or form. With the quarterback, whoever wins the job is the guy that gets this spot for right now, and we just don't know who that is right now.
And we reiterate the competition from what the coaches told us is like a dead heat. It's really even.
Do you buy that?
Yeah, I do, because of what I saw in the spring game.
Yeah.
I think they might have had 15 yards difference in passing, maybe 20. The passing yardage was very similar. I don't have the stats from the spring game with me, but you'd be amazed at how similar the stats were. Again, when he has played, Calzada has thrown more passes and has more yards passing than Haynes.
Yep.
But Haynes has more rushing yardage. So they're going to have different strengths. Now, if you asked me today to bet on who I thought would be the starting quarterback, I would base it on the last time Jimbo was having to pick a starting quarterback here, and I would say it's going to be Haynes because he had the big arm quarterback in Starkle and the
somewhat running ability to run.
The ability to run, the more mobile, put it that way, quarterback in Mon. He went with Mon because I think it gives you more options. I think that tells me, or that suggests to me, that all things being equal, he would go with Haynes.
Right.
But I don't know that for a fact.
Yeah, we don't know. And it's going to really depend on these first couple of practices, right? Like who's getting the reps, who's making the plays. And to me, a quarterback, now there were some injuries last year and some opt-outs, which kind of hurt, I think, Kellen. But who's going to be the security blanket? If Haynes is the kind of guy who can spread the ball to everybody, or does he keep going to Anias? Same thing with Zach. I think the chemistry with the wide receivers, and obviously the chemistry with the line as well, will go a long way.
Who can figure out the right guy to get the ball to and then get it to him? Because you mentioned, and Charean mentioned, all the skill position players out there, the big playmakers, the potential, Anias, A-Chain, Isaiah, Jalen Weidemeyer, Damon, Caleb Chapman, Chase Lane. There are playmakers all over that offense. What you need is, more than anything, is just a quarterback that can read the defense and then understand who's the guy to go to, and then just get it to him.
People mention that Jimbo's offense isn't one that's going to just put so many points out there. And
I don't believe that.
I think when you've got these kind of options, forget about it. They can run the ball. They can pass the ball, and we expect them to be able to pass the ball. And they've got playmakers all over the place. There's no reason that this team cannot be one of those high volume. That's the thing. When you look at the SEC, there would be middle of the pack offensively. I don't know. Not if people reach their potential.
Texas A&M averaged 32 points a game last year, which is not bad. And that's, playing an all-SEC schedule,
right?
For the most part. So, and that's with, quite frankly, they weren't quite ready to play against Vanderbilt when the season opened.
How many points did they score that game?
17.
Yeah.
So what if now that I've got all these guys, if I have an effective quarterback and I've got all these guys that are healthy, and that's after you lost. Remember, they scored average 32 points a game, almost 33, even though they played that season with none of their starting receivers, or the guys they thought were going to be their starting receivers, because Cam Buckley got hurt, and Jamon Osmond opted out, and Chapman got hurt. Add one touchdown a game, and you're talking about 39, and then you're in the top 15 scoring. So I don't believe that A&M's not a big time scoring offense.
And I think younger players are going to take a big step this year.
I agree.
And it's going to change this game. All right, a moment right now for my friends at Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 in Caldwell, and online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. You know Zach Hester, you know the crew out there. They've been good friends to TexAgs for a very long time. Everybody goes by there, and they get their maintenance done. Gabe, Billy, Bronny, they've all gone by. Such a great crew out there. And they currently have some pre-owned inventory that is kind of low, so they're like buying vehicle after vehicle after vehicle. So make sure you stop by and check it out. And also online, they've got amazing deals. When you're looking for a great deal, it's CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. That's where you need to go, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com. Check out the awesome deals they have out there. It takes about 15 minutes to get there. So if you're in the Bryan area, just have a little short conversation, talk about how great TexAgs Radio is and how you really like Olin and Nuño together in that first hour. By the time you get there and you finish that real brief conversation, you're there in Caldwell. Say hi to Zach and the crew out there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 in Caldwell, and online, CaldwellCountryChevrolet.com.
It's ESPN Radio. ESPN. Weeknights and weekends here on Sports Radio 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. The Zone.
The love that I have for Texas A&M is just feeling so much a part of the school, feeling like there's always people there to support you, that you've got a friend no matter what.
I'd want to give a student the chance to do something they want to do. And the association, I know, gave a lot of my friends the ability to go forward and to actually pick the major they wanted, do the studies they wanted to do.
When I started thinking about college, I had one goal in mind, and that was my parents will not pay for my schooling.
There's a lot of kids out there who are going to make good Aggies, and we ought to give them a chance, and I'm willing to put my share in to try to help them.
Of all of our traditions that are well known, the one that sometimes gets passed over and just taken for granted is perhaps the greatest, and that's Aggies helping Aggies.
To learn more about the association's impact or to make a gift, visit tx.ag/giving.
You can hear the Paul Feinbaum Show weekdays 2 to 4 here on The Zone. Presented by Polaris Fund Center. Paul Feinbaum is SEC Country. And Aggieland is SEC Country too. Join Paul weekdays 2 to 4 here on The Zone. Polaris Fund Center, where you can get a $500 rebate on any 450 or 570 Model A TV. Or $2,000 cash back on a Polaris XP1000. Polaris Fund Center, where they sell and service fun, not tractors. The voice of the SEC. And you can hear Paul Feinbaum weekdays from 2 to 4 on The Zone.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. I came out in the 11th grade. Nobody was embracing you. The kids were cruel. It was very difficult to be gay. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
The hard part was determining that I was going to do it, but I definitely didn't do it alone.
At age 30, with the help of her mentor, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
I have a mentor, Maria. She convinced me to continue my education and to finish what I started to get my diploma. Just never judges. She's a true role model. If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, go get it. You can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Listening to The Zone on your Amazon Daughter Echo is easy. Even Louie figured it out. 2 simple steps, and you can hear Chip Howard Sports Talk, TexAgs Radio, The Louie Bellina Show, and many of your favorite A&M teams anytime, anywhere with your special friend, Alexa. Step 1, and only one time, say, Alexa, enable Zone 1150 skill. Then anytime you want to hear your favorite host or teams, all you have to do is say, Alexa, play Zone 1150. Make sure to set it all up and say, Alexa, enable Zone 1150 skill, and listen in anytime just by saying, Alexa, play Zone 1150.
I'll tell you what, sometimes radio, television, whatever, just the artistic thing that we do is not really artistic, but the creative process can make you feel better. Working out can make you feel better, but I think talking and breaking down sports, I didn't feel great when I woke up this morning. Still not 100%, but definitely feeling way better than when I walked in. I was kind of grumpy. Usually we chat. Yeah. We didn't chat this morning.
No, we didn't.
You were mad at me about something.
I was reading. I was reading.
Hey, by the way, it is TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. So we do have a show topic that we're going to try to read and get to, and if you want to do it on the phone lines, you can here in this final segment of the Go Hour. Who is A&M's best chance at being a Heisman finalist this season? If you want to call the show on the BCSI hotline, you can at 979-693-1150. Shout out to Dr. K. Or you can text the show on the AMB text line, Real Texas Banking, 979-693-1150. OB, before we go to Tori there at the Social Center, in your opinion, who is it? Who is, and I think I explained this at the top of the show. If I didn't, let me explain again. I read an article from, I believe it was College Football News, that said, who are not the obvious choices? And it had for A&M number 2, tied with Texas, by the way. Both Texas and Texas A&M were tied for the number 2, not most obvious Heisman candidates, the quarterback situation for both schools.
Well, I would think the best chance for A&M would probably be Isaiah Spiller.
Yep.
Even though I could see, since a wide receiver won it last year, and Nia Smith does so many things that he could get into the discussion, I could see that the quarterback, if he has the kind of year we were talking about earlier, get into the discussion, because both Johnny Manziel and Jameis Winston won it in years when they didn't even play the year before.
Right.
So, that's not there. And even Devon Achane, I think someday will be a Heisman contender. And if things happen, he could. But if I had to say one guy, it's Isaiah Spiller. I mean, here's a guy that I think in a 12-game season, maybe 13-game season before the voting is due, could rush for. I mean, he could rush for 1,500 yards. I think he would has the ability to make a run at 2,000, except that you've got to give A-Chain some carries.
You got to give A-Chain some carries. You got to spread the ball around a little bit. You've got Anias who can play in the back and as a wide receiver. So, yeah, there's a lot to divide out there. Let's go to the News and Social Center with Tori. Tori, what do we got?
Lance in Round Mountain thinks running back Isaiah Spiller has the highest probability of being a Heisman Trophy finalist this year. He says, I predict Spiller will have big stats in run yardage and touchdowns this season that will promote him as one of the top running backs in the country.
Yeah, I can see that. That's what we basically just broke down there. Look, I think he is such a dynamic playmaker, and what a real humble kid for being as good as he is. When we had him here in studio a couple of weeks back, and I covered him in high school, just he's got it. There's an it factor to him.
There's that, plus as good a running back as he is, and you're right, he's one of the best in the country, if not the best, but he's one of them. He catches the ball out of the backfield really well.
Yep. Really well.
And that's just one more facet to his game that people will start really understanding once they start watching A&M. Aggies know this.
We know.
But the rest of the country, I think, start figuring that out.
On the premium message boards, TMINTX, Timinix, says Anias as one of the guys. And he's another name that if he gets the touches that he could get at other places, if he got some touches here and is the playmaker we saw last year, absolutely.
Yeah, make some big plays, return a punt for a touchdown, go into the backfield. Next thing you know, they're talking about him like, look at this do-it-all guy threat. So a lot of times it's just, what kind of momentum do you get? But you've got to play big in big games.
You do. All right, Obi, thanks so much for the Go Hour. I almost called it the OB Hour. We could call it the OB Hour and not the Obese Hour. I know where your head is going.
No, I'm taking some weight off.
There you go. You're looking good, brother. All right, Chris Gordy coming up, and Ty Warren all in the next hour. It's TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
The Bellucci Hour is back. It is back at the tap every Monday and Thursday at 6 p.m. thanks to King Ranch Saddle Shop. Join Billy Liucci of TexAgs, TexAgs.com, TexAgs Radio, and the Liucci Cast, along with Zach Taylor, the Infomaniac, and Sports Director of Brian Broadcasting. Monday, Thursday, 6 p.m. It's the Bellucci Hour, happy hour, and it's all thanks to King Ranch Saddle Shop. Let the Bellucci Hour get you ready for Aggie Football 2021.
Our publications reach every corner of the Brazos Valley, and we want to partner with you in sharing your message with the community. You may recognize a few of our Brian Broadcasting publications.
Best of the Brazos Valley.
Brazos Life, the annual manual.
Welcome home, Brazos Valley.
Brazos Family. Brazos Wellness.
Brazos Valley Bride.
Peace, Brazos Christian Life.
With the combined power of 7 magazine titles, 11 radio stations, and digital solutions, Brian Broadcasting Publications can help you be heard. Call 979-695-9595 to learn more.
Listen to The Zone online at RadioAggieland.com. Don't miss Louie, Chip, TexAgs, or your favorite Aggie teams as they play on The Zone. Listen online at RadioAggieland.com. This is KCNE College Station.
From WTAW, I'm Chelsea Reber with a news update on The Zone. For the last 3 months, 3 Bryan police officers have been working in a new mental health unit. Officer Cole Taylor says members are regularly checking in with citizens who have mental illnesses.
They're going to call on them. They may go knock on their door and see how they're doing. They're going to make sure that they're following the doctor's orders and taking the recommended medications that they're supposed to be to keep them from reaching that crisis point.
Taylor says activity in the new unit has not been surprising. From April through July, there have been 112 calls for service, 73 home visits, and 191 telephone follow-up visits. A 21-year-old College Station woman returned to jail Monday for the 7th time in 14 months, where she's accused of attempting to run over her girlfriend for the 2nd time in a 2-week period.
According to Bryan police, on June 27th, a vehicle driven by Skylar Duffy struck a building instead of her girlfriend. That's after Duffy on June 13th attempted to hit her girlfriend, and instead the car struck 5 parked vehicles. Duffy remains in jail on the new charge in lieu of a $65,000 bond. 2 months ago, Duffy entered guilty pleas to 8 other criminal cases in Brazos County District Court that date back to November of 2018. Those sentences run as long as 310 days. Online jail records do not show she has served any of that time. Bill Oliver, 1620-94.5 WTAW.
The Brazos Valley Food Bank's Feast of Caring returns to the Brazos Center today. Executive Director Teresa Mangapora says they're excited to bring back the event after it was canceled last year due to the pandemic.
The way that this ends up being a fundraiser for the food bank is that we ask folks that show up if they can make a donation in what they would have spent if they'd gone out to lunch or more, if that's possible.
Mangapora says celebrity servers will be masked while serving the meal, and to-go meals are also available. Today's lunch is from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Brazos Center. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
There's a Kubota for every job. There's a Kubota for every harvest. There's a Kubota for every task. And at Normandy Tractor, for a limited time only, take the drive to Normandy, Texas. Let Vernon and the boys show you what they have. Get the new Kubota BX 1880 16.6 horsepower tractor and a Kubota loader with quick attach bucket now through July 31st, 2021. For a cash price of only $12,499, or payments as low as $165 per month with no money down. That's based on 0% down, 1.99% APR for 84 months. Normandy Tractor has over 8 acres of Kubota tractors, Kubota RTVs, ATVs, and Kubota mowers to choose from. They're at the corner of Highway 39 and OSR in Normandy, Texas. And remember, nobody beats Normandy Tractor. Nobody.
Now through July 31st, 2021, for warranty terms, see Kubota's limited warranty at KubotaUSA.com or your Kubota dealer.
Good morning, sports fans. I'm Zach Taylor with your Aggie Sports Minute on The Zone. This Sports Minute is brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. Call 936-825-0500 or click HilcoSupply.com. Texas A&M professional Athang Mo won the gold medal in the 800 meters yesterday with an American record time of 1 minute 55.21 seconds. With the victory, Mo became the first American female to win the event in 53 years. She also became the first female in program history to obtain an individual medal and the first Aggie, male or female, to win gold in an individual track event and second in any event. And staying with the Olympics, Aggie alum Maggie Malone has qualified for the women's javelin final following a throw of 206 feet 11 inches. The College Station native set the mark in her first and only attempt as she advances to the final round this Friday. Former Aggie track and field standout and soccer player Annie Kuntz sits in 4th place following day 1 of the women's heptathlon. Kuntz, who competed at A&M from 2011 to 2016, is taking part in the shot put and 200-meter portion of competition this morning. The Brazos Valley Bombers dropped Game 1 of their first-round TCL playoff series to the San Antonio Flying Chanclas last night, 9-3. Aggie Kalai Harrison finished 0 for 3 at the plate for the Brazos Valley, which visit San Antonio for Game 2 tonight at 7:05. Broadcast will be right here on The Zone. And that's been your Aggie Sports Minute, brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. On The Zone, I'm Zach Taylor.
Beginning Monday, August 9th, our much-anticipated, never-duplicated SEC football preview. The preview will break down each of the 14 teams and end with our world-famous predictions. This year's SEC football preview is brought to you by First National Bank, putting you first, and by the College Station UPS stores, each weekday afternoon at 4:30. Don't miss it. The SEC football preview beginning Monday, August 9th, right here on 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
The YouTube jams continue. Going on the YouTube chat room right now, and I asked a question earlier: who's got the best chance of being a Heisman finalist for Texas A&M this year? And William Sterling says it's obviously Spiller, but the strength of the team seems like it might be a committee approach where we spread the ball around a little bit to A-Chain, Ananias, and the talented wide receivers and tight ends. Yeah, I can agree with you there, my friend. Ghost Fan says, I'll go with King. I think he's that good. So remember, we have the show for the first part, about an hour and a half or so on YouTube. So if you want to be experience it and chat in there as well, you can. The TexAgs live chat is up too for our premium subscribers, and of course on our good friends The Zone. So we appreciate everybody doing that. But the question of the day: who's the best chance of being a Heisman finalist this season? Here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. And with that, we go to the BCSI Associates hotline. We are joined by our good friend Chris Gordy from Sports Talk 790, and also the host of Locked On SEC, which you can hear on iHeartRadio. What's up, Chris? How you doing, my friend?
Yo, what's going on, Nuño?
Goodness gracious, my headphones were loud. Holy cow. Hey, bud, the last time we chatted was, I think a day before the whole Texas and Oklahoma stuff came out a couple weeks back. Just goodness gracious, man, the way the world has changed since the last time we talked in Hoover.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little unbelievable when the ex-lover won't leave you alone and stop following you and stalking you to the SEC. So it's weird, man. It's going to take some getting used to hearing, seeing the Longhorns in the SEC. I'm still interested in how it's all going to shake out from, how the conference alignment is going to shake out. I've said for the longest, the easiest way to make the adjustment would be to move Alabama and Auburn to the east, add Oklahoma and Texas to the west. But it sounds like people are leaning more towards the pod system where we're going to have 4 teams here, 4 teams there. So we'll see how it shakes out. But, man, it is going to be weird as heck to have the Texas A&M rivalry back. And, what do we do? Is it on Thanksgiving? Where does it fall? So it's going to be so interesting to see where this happens. And, man, the more and more I start to read and hear from people, it sounds like this is going to happen in 2022. So, this whole 2025 thing, that's a pipe dream. They're saying that for legalities. This thing is probably going to happen next year.
You really think next year it can happen that quick? Not 2023? Like, you think they can really speed it up here this summer and through the first part of the fall?
Yeah, I would say 2023 at the latest. I mean, again, this is all for the legalities. You saw the Big 12 this week. Bob Bowlesby and company, they're not backing down. They're fighting the Longhorns tooth and nail. You got Texas state senators taking subtle shots, saying TCU owns Texas and all this kind of stuff. So, man, they're not going to go down without a fight. But again, this is all the discussions that Greg Sankey and the SEC leaders have all had behind closed doors for months and months. So I got a feeling that they're going to be ready to pay whatever buyout they got to pay. That's what you pay expensive lawyers for. Let's get this taken care of, and we're going to shift in 2022. I'm feeling more and more like it.
From an LSU perspective, look, I think the last 10 years, A&M and LSU has been a fun game. I know the early part was mostly LSU. The last 2 out of 3 years has been A&M. Do you guys look, and when I say you guys, I know that you have covered them in the past and whatnot. Do you see LSU as, do they look at A&M as a rival that they don't want to see go away, the Thanksgiving thing, because of what's happening with Texas? Does it even matter? Is there that much history there to keep that a yearly thing? How do you think that all shakes out?
Well, we always say in a rivalry, it can't be one-sided. And for so long, it was one-sided. LSU had dominated the series. And now, here in the last 3 to 4 years, A&M's been more competitive. They've been able to beat LSU. Obviously, the 7 overtime game was ridiculous. Obviously, going and stealing their defensive coordinator years ago, getting into a court battle with that. And so, yeah, I feel like it's now officially a rivalry. And so, I keep bringing up the fact that I think Texas A&M's got his best chance of any this year to compete and win the SEC West. Again, that Alabama game is the one that you circle. That's the one that matters most. I hate to say it's a one-game season for the Aggies, but it's a one-game season. If you lose that game at home to Alabama, you're not winning the West. The best you can do is try to run the table and press people and cross your fingers and hope you make the playoff, kind of like the same position you were in last year. But if the Aggies can break through and win that game against Alabama, it buys you a loss, man. Like, it lets you slip up along the way. And I keep saying that final season finale game against LSU, where the Aggies have not won in Death Valley yet, it doesn't matter if you lose that one. You're still winning the SEC West. You're going to Atlanta. You take care of business against Georgia, man. You're in the playoff. This is where Jimbo Fisher, when Aggie fans wished and hoped they could be when the news came out that they'd hired Jimbo Fisher. They are in prime spot this year. Just got to go take care of business, man. I know Kyle Field is going to do their part that night. It's all on the offense and the defense getting it done that night.
Yeah, so I keep seeing things that LSU is either going to be horrible, which I don't believe, or that team that's going to steal the West. When you look at LSU and what they have, what do you see?
Well, it's crushing news this week with Miles Brennan, obviously, going down with the injury. Fifth-year guy, was hoping to be that senior leader, and he was really good. Like, people discount what he did last year. Like, his numbers were on par with what Joe Burrow had done the year prior. It's just the defense was god-awful. Like, Bo Pelini will go down as the worst hire in the history of LSU football. That's not hyperbole. Like, that was the worst defense LSU has ever had statistically in the history of their football program. So the odds are they're not going to be that bad, right? They've got good players. We talk about it all the time. Derek Stingley. They bring in Mike Jones from Clemson. They've got a good D-line. Like, you've got all these great players. You just have a terrible system. So Durante Jones, I think we're all kind of waiting to see, comes in from the NFL, right? Coach with the Minnesota Vikings. Again, I think the challenge for him is, can you make this defense even like middle of the SEC? Can you just be decent? And I think if they are, if the offense picks up where they left off last year. Remember, Max Johnson started the last 2 games for LSU last year, won in the swamp at Florida, beat Ole Miss. So I think Max Johnson was probably going to win this starting job with Miles Brennan, but at least now it's solidified. Now you got a month left to the season. You could say it's Max Johnson's job. He can settle in as a starter. We can build around him, run this offense, and let's see. But I'm with you, David. Like, we don't know. Until we see it on the field, we don't know what this defense is going to look like. But I'll tell you this. If they come out and they look very impressive against UCLA, and that defense is getting stops and forcing turnovers, man, it'll make the whole LSU fan base take a collective sigh and go, okay, we're back. This is what LSU is supposed to be, not whatever the hell that defense was last year.
Chris Gordy on the BCSI hotline here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. You can catch him on Locked On SEC. All right, so I have this topic out there that I'm asking our viewers and our listeners. Who is A&M's best chance at being a Heisman finalist this season? If A&M has that special season that we both talked about, they might have a guy that makes it to New York. Is it going to be one of the quarterbacks in Zach Calzada or Haynes King? Could it be Isaiah Spiller? Could it be Aniyah Smith? When you look at A&M, who's a name that you think, you know what, this guy really has a legit chance to end up there?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because the Heisman Award has become it's such a quarterback award now. So, I mean, obviously that would be the obvious one. But A&M's bread and butter is the run game. We know it's going to take a special year from Isaiah Spiller to be that name, but I'd put him as the best chance, realistic chance. I'd love to go on a limb and say, man, DeMarvin Leal is going to get double-digit sacks, and he's going to be wreaking havoc, and we're going to be talking about him every week going, how can this kid not be in the running for the Heisman? But he won't win. The best chance, if it's an A&M guy winning a Heisman, the best realistic chance has got to be Isaiah Spiller, and he's got to average 100-plus yards a week and multiple touchdowns and all that sort of thing. I just wonder, is he going to be able to do that? When you talk about Devin Achane, you want to get him the ball. You want to have a little ground and pound mix up lightning and thunder in the backfield. So I thought it was interesting yesterday, though. I saw Cole Kublik put out his top 5 wide receiver rankings for the SEC this year, and he had Aniyah Smith in there, I think, is number 2. And I went back and I was looking through the numbers and watching a little film on him last year, and I was surprised to see that Aniyah Smith had more carries than catches last year. It's so funny. We talk about him so much as the receiving game, and he's such a threat and all this. And it's like he still ran the ball a good bit last year too. So, maybe he's a guy that, being the dual threat, if he does become a go-to target in the slot, and man, he's catching the ball and breaking it for 70, 80-yard runs and all that, maybe Aniyah Smith is a name that could sneak up there.
Now, you mentioned it being really a quarterback award, which I 100% agree with. The history and the proof is there. But if A&M is one of those teams getting into the college football playoffs, that quarterback who's throwing it to Aniyah and to Isaiah and to the entire crew, he could be the guy that gets in for them to be that good, the quarterback has to play well beyond a game manager.
Yeah, and that's where I keep going back to that Alabama game. To beat Alabama, you have got to have great quarterback play, not average quarterback play. There's not been a quarterback in the past 10 years since Nick Saban has been the SEC that's beat them where you went, well, he was okay. No, like, you have to be special. You have to be good. And so that's what it's going to take, whether it's Haynes King, whether it's Zach Calzada, whoever is the man that's running the show. It has got to be a special year. But again, I defer to Jimbo. Jimbo's track record has been great with the quarterbacks. All the names of guys that he had at Florida State, even guys at LSU that were drafted very high. We just saw Kellen Mond, not really be special, but have a really good year and still get drafted almost as a second rounder. So you got to trust in Jimbo. You got to trust the system that it's going to work. Man, if you're an Aggie fan, you can't help but get hopeful that they take that next step very quickly. Because again, everybody's so optimistic about Bryce Young at Alabama, and it's like, he hasn't started a game yet. I don't understand why we're all just assuming, oh, it's Alabama. Well, what about Jimbo? We can just assume Jimbo always has great quarterback play. Let's just assume whoever the starter is for the Aggies is going to have a chance to have a very special year, right? It works both ways.
I think that's a great soundbite. We're going to have to use that one on the TexAgs Rewind. Gordy, hey, so I want to ask you about Saban because you did bring him up a moment ago. He got that new deal. Is it possible, and I think the answer is yes, but that's just me answering a question before I ask it, so I apologize. Is it possible that Nick Saban is underpaid for what he brings to Alabama?
There's no amount of money that would equal like what he's worth. We see the same thing in the NBA when we see like what LeBron makes. There's no amount of money that you could pay LeBron that's enough to equal what he's worth. It's the same thing with Nick Saban. Like I saw it was really funny. I don't know if you read the particulars on his contract, but like his base pay is something like $700,000, but then he gets like an extra $8 million in like bonuses and all. I don't know. It's really weird how they like structure it out. He gets like a talent fee of $8 million. It's insanity. He's going to be the highest paid coach. He's the first college coach that's hitting double digit figures, making $10 million plus a year. It's unbelievable when you consider that. And he still is, literally underpaid for what he does and what he brings to that state. I keep saying he should run for political office when he retires. He can literally win in a landslide in the state of Alabama. That's how much control he has. And literally the guy wants for nothing. Like I remember in his time at LSU, there were all these stories that his wife would spend a lot of his money. She loved to go purse shopping. She loved to do this and that. I can't imagine, like, you literally have everything you could ever want with the most money you could ever want. I can't imagine living that kind of lifestyle. Now, it comes with pressure. I mean, he's got the pressure on him every year. You better not lose a game at Alabama because those fans will freak out and be ready to kick you out. I mean, that's what's so funny. A couple of years ago when they lost to LSU and Auburn in the same year, the message boards, like, they were like, I don't know, is the game past Saban by? Like, they were literally ready to run him out of town. So I can't imagine. God help that person that takes over for Saban whenever he decides to retire. I just hope with the news of adding Texas and Oklahoma, Steve Sarkisian, maybe he had it in the back of his mind, oh, Saban can't be around that much longer. Maybe there was some kind of conversation there that he's not going to be around the 4, 5, 6 years that everybody's expecting him to be. Hopefully, man, for the sake of the rest of the SEC, I hope he retires soon, because when you think about it, if Saban had retired, let's just say 6 years ago, 7 years ago, LSU probably would have had another championship. Auburn would have had another national championship. A&M probably could have won a championship last year if Saban wasn't around. So it's just unbelievable. Like the rest of the SEC would flourish if Saban were not in the SEC.
I try to balance things out. We had a Cowboy talk earlier, so I'll ask you a couple of Houston things real quick. The Astros win yesterday over the Dodgers. Not that a regular season game means all that much, but it sure felt like it meant a lot to at least the fans out there.
Yeah, it was great to see. Those Dodger fans are wackos. I mean, they were going nuts, having fights in the stands and all this kind of stuff. And, man, it was just so good to see Lance McCullers return to the scene of the crime where he dominated Game 7 of the World Series in 2017. That's what people forget. These idiot Dodger fans, like, they forget you lost the World Series. You scored 1 run in Game 7. Say whatever you want about cheating scandal and banging on trash cans and all that. We know the Astros didn't do that in the playoffs. That's proven. MLB came out and said that. So believe whatever you want if you're a Dodgers fan. But my God, it felt so good to see them get humbled and shut out. They didn't score a run last night, losing 3-0 to the Astros. So they got their just desserts. And here's my Cajun Coon-ass spelling of the Astros.
I love that. Hey, last thing for you. And the Texans are not going to be a hot button topic on this show very often. But how crazy has training camp been? And is there anything new with Deshaun Watson and what's going to happen with him?
It's strange, man. I mean, I saw somebody said yesterday, I don't know what the right way to handle this is, but it feels like David Culley and Nick Caserio and company are doing it the wrong way. Like, you can't let this guy go out there and be a distraction and be a sideshow. Like, literally every camera and media member is following Deshaun around. And then they're like, just run with the 4s. Oh, yeah, just go do this. Why don't you jump out on scout team and wear a safety jersey? It's like, what are you guys doing? This is one of the highest paid players, one of the most special talents in the NFL, and you're just parading him around out here. He's made it a point he doesn't want to be there. The Texans have made it a point that they've moved on. They drafted a new quarterback. They brought in Tyrod Taylor. So, man, like, let's at least send him inside the bubble and go work out on his own instead of being out here where it's a sideshow. It's such a distraction. At least now that they put pads on, it sounds like he's not going to be out there. So at least he'll be a little bit out of sight, out of mind. But Texans project to be the worst team in the NFL this year, and I haven't seen anything yet that tells me they won't be.
Chris Gordy, Locked On SEC. We'll catch up with you here in a couple of weeks, brother.
Thanks, David.
Thank you. Love getting Chris on the show. Great perspective, and you got to check out his podcast as well. All right, guys, we got an open segment ahead. If you want to text the A&B text line, you can do that, 979-693-1150, or you can call the show as well. That number is 979-693-1150 on the BCSI Associates hotline. Open segment. And then at 9:35, we'll talk to Ty Warren here on TexAgs Radio.
Your home for Texas A&M football is Sports Radio 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. The Zone. The Zone.
AggielandBigDeals.com. Shop local, buy local, save big. I'm struggling, can't pay full price. How about Aggieland Big Deals? Yeah, that's right. I'll be shopping local and saving big with discounts up to 30% on food, clothes, and car repair, or even entertainment and personal care. Is it really gonna be convenient though? Just download the app right on your phone. Oh man, that's slick. Now I'm all in. Those digital certificates are fun to spend. Plus I can print and send gifts along at AggielandBigDeals.com.
The George Bush Presidential Library and Museum is pleased to be able to welcome you back into the museum. To ensure the safety of all of our visitors, we will have limited hours of operation and reduced capacity. Our current hours are Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. with the last admission at 2:15 p.m. All tickets must be purchased in advance via our website. Visit bush41.org to purchase your tickets now and for more information.
When your diesel truck or construction equipment needs DEF, WPI has the best price in town. Only $8.50 for 2.5 gallons. Regardless of your machine's make or model, WPI can help. From custom hydraulic hoses, O-rings to teeth, buckets and blades. Any part, filter, fluid, battery, or lighting is at your local WPI. Visit Jesse James at WPI's new location in Bryan, Highway 21 east at Marina Road, or click WPI.com.
Hey, it's David Nuño. Texas known for football, barbecue, and hot summer temperatures. And typically, the hotter the weather, the higher your electricity bill. But with some help from Energy Ogre, a Texas technology company, you can lower your bill by up to 40%. In fact, we signed up 2 years ago, and they saved my family 35%. Energy Ogre will find you the cheapest electricity plan in your area. Manage all future contracts, saving you time and money. Go to EnergyOgre.com and enter code HOWDY for a free month of service. That's EnergyOgre.com to start saving today.
This is ESPN Radio.
Warren Moon joining us right now, Hall of Famer.
The Green Bay Packers still give him the best chance to win a Super Bowl.
Willie Lanier, one of the greatest players in history of the NFL.
The objective, if they get an opportunity to play in pros, is to go back to school immediately. Complete your degree immediately.
Joe Theismann, former Washington football team quarterback.
I'm beginning to believe more and more that Aaron Rodgers will not be a Green Bay Packer.
We're talking with Cam Newton as he joins us right now.
No type of clickbait to just say, can use him as a competition. I look at everything as competition.
Wanda Sykes, comedian extraordinaire.
I just love the game. If you go to a game, you're going to love it.
Legendary soccer player, the great Abby Wambach.
You're representing your country. Go get the damn goal.
Vernon Davis, how are you doing? Out of the gate, because it said you're the voice of the ESPYs. So give me ESPY voice. Yeah.
This is Vernon.
ESPN Radio, weeknights and weekends on Sports Radio 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. The Zone.
It is TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Sometimes I feel like I have to sneeze, and I panic it's going to happen when I'm on air. It's a panic. It's like, or have you ever been in like a meeting, and you're like, oh, here comes the sneeze. And I know the little trick that you touch here, under your nose, whatever, but it is a panic feeling. There's like, oh, please don't let this happen. Please, here it comes. And it, sometimes it does happen. I'm just sharing with you that information because I'm random. I'm totally random, and that's what I do here on the show. So deal with it. Hey, guys, the topic of the show is who's A&M's best chance of being a Heisman finalist this season. The overwhelming favorite from people on the YouTube chat to people on the TexAgs chat and online and on the message boards and text has definitely been Isaiah Spiller. But there have been some who mentioned Aniyah Smith and some that have talked about the quarterback situation, Haynes King being the name that I've read quite a bit. But if you want to be a part of the show and talk about that, you certainly can on the AMB text line 979-693-1150, or you can call the BCSI Associates hotline 979-693-1150. And a couple of the topics that I did want to hit today is that ESPN, now again, what people do in the preseason is they do rankings and they do slideshows and they do this and they do that. And we as talk show hosts and media personalities, we buy into it like, hey, they got us at number whatever. And we talk about it. A&M, though, listed as number 6 according to ESPN. And I think that is a very fair number with some of the question marks we have. They have us as the FPI at 6. And the key game in September is the Colorado game. I'll read you a little bit from their snippet about Texas A&M. The Aggies are coming off a season in which they appear built for sustained success, particularly on the defense. They'll have to rebuild up front with 4 new starters on the offensive line and break in a new quarterback, but Jimbo Fisher feels good about those positions. ESPN's FBIs gives A&M a greater than 80% chance to win each of its first 5 games before Alabama, which handed the Aggies their only loss last season. And they visit College Station on, it says November 9th. It's actually October 9th. Yeah, that is what I like is when the national folks play ball with what we're thinking. Too often, we have an opinion of how we think it's going to go for us. Too often, and a lot of times we're right, by the way. Sometimes we're not. Sometimes we have maroon goggles. I get that. But based on the information we have here, there's no reason not to believe that A&M should not be favored in every game but Alabama. And again, let's see how things start off for Alabama. I won an undefeated Bama versus an undefeated A&M at a rocking Kyle Field. 100,000 fans going crazy, a night game on CBS. Bring it! And for whoever the quarterback is to be just a freaking gamer. Like, just bring it. For Spiller to break some ankles, A-Chain to leave people in the dust, Aniyah to do the same, Chapman, like everybody. That is obviously my hope, my desire, my expectation. And when you see folks nationally, now I believe Dave Wilson wrote this, so he's regional, but the folks at ESPN have to buy in and kind of agree with the rankings, I am assuming. But when the national folks are taking notice, it means you're doing something right. And when the national folks start taking shots, it means you're doing something right. Both can be true. You know, I think OB was talking about somebody asking him if A&M fans are mad about Jimbo's doing exactly the game. The manuscript that was written before Jimbo got here of what we want, he's doing it. Top 5 recruiting classes, almost undefeated season, knocking on the door of the playoffs, should have been one of the Final 4 teams. This year, I expect that to be the exact same thing. Adjusting to SEC play, a favorable SEC schedule. Nothing in the SEC is easy. But at least this year, I think it plays out favorably for a new offensive line and a new quarterback. Things are going in the right direction, and we've known that, and now people are noticing, and this isn't the only one. I think I saw college football news, Pete Futek having A&M at 7. I think 6-7 for where we are today, great. After the Kent State game, not that that's going to tell you everything, but once we see some movement, once we see some domination, once we see who's under center and making plays, I think we'll have a better grasp of who we are. And that all starts this week. It legit starts tomorrow. They report tomorrow. They start practicing Friday. We'll talk to them on Sunday. It doesn't get better than that, guys. It does not get better than that. As I mentioned, the topic of the show today was who's the best candidate for A&M to get a Heisman finalist there. And this was spurred off a column that I read from College Football News that says top Heisman candidates other than the obvious ones. And number 2, as I mentioned, had the Texas starting quarterback and the A&M starting quarterback. I don't know why they lumped us together, but whatever. And here's what it says. Here's the problem for the Heisman. The A&M offense will never, ever put up giant numbers needed to get voters fired up. But here's the positive. A&M is going to be really, really good with the upside to make a push for the college football playoff and with the mega game against Alabama in College Station on October the 9th. Again, kind of in line with what ESPN said earlier and exactly the kind of narratives that we want to see portrayed out there. Now we just got to go do it. Now we just got to go do it. We go to the A&B text line, a couple lines out there. And here's Dave and Edmond. I told you weeks ago that King is getting the Heisman invite. I was the first to call it. Don't forget it, because when it happens, I want all the glory. I do remember that, believe it or not. And I hope it happens. Put it this way. If A&M is undefeated entering that LSU game and even afterwards, or even a one-loss team, there's a great chance that Haynes, or Zach, whoever the quarterback is, gets invited to there. And here's PG Ag in King Oaks, Devon A-Chain. He's a highlight reel. I don't know if this is the year for Devon, but I do think he's absolutely one of those guys that will, next year at this time, if you can go 365 days later, if I ask this exact same question a year from now, I do believe we're talking about A-Chain being the guy. I do. I absolutely do believe that. And here's another one from the 210 area code. This is going back to the topic earlier when we were talking about is Nick Saban underpaid and all he's been able to do. We talked with Chris Gordy about that. If Saban retires, Dabo Sweeney will be in Tuscaloosa within the hour, out of the frying pan and into the fire. I know that it is very popular, especially with his history there. But how do you leave a program that you built, that they are going to build statues for you, to go to another one that you, no matter what, will not surpass what Saban did? There's no way, right? Like, you're not going to win 6 national championships in 15 years or whatever. I don't buy that. But he is the popular name you see out there. So we'll continue following that, how that develops. Hopefully Jimbo beats them down a couple times, wins a couple national championships, and we are the powerhouse that people are talking about. And Jimbo is looked upon as the heir, as the next sub Nick Saban. Excuse me, my English is really off. All right, guys. When we come back here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, we're going to catch up with an Aggie great, Ty Warren, here on the show. You don't want to miss it.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on the Zone. The Caldwell-Burleson County Lions Club presents the movie Ratatouille, Friday, August 13th at the Caldwell Civic Center. Doors open at 6 and the movie starts at 7. Canned goods or non-perishable food items are good for admission. Life Point Christian Church is hosting a community event on Saturday, August 14th from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. Free food, clothing, and toiletries will be available for those in need. Find the event on Facebook for more information. Now on display at the Arts Council, Refrigerator Art. Art created during summer art camps and Saturday adult classes will be displayed in the lobby gallery through the end of August. Stage Center Theater is holding auditions for Sleuth on Monday and Tuesday, August 16th and 17th. For more information, visit stagecenter.net. You can hear Houston Astros baseball on the Zone and select games on Gospel 97.3 FM thanks to Kelly Burt Dozer. When you need to make the earth move, call Kelly Burt Dozer. I'm Chelsea Reber on the Zone.
Have you wanted to speak a new language but thought it'd be too difficult or take too much time? Then try Babbel. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel teaches you conversations that you will actually use. With 14 languages and lesson topics like travel, business, relationships, and more, you'll learn what matters most to you. Babbel. Language for life. Learn a new language with ease. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com.
Our publications reach every corner of the Brazos Valley, and we want to partner with you in sharing your message with the community. You may recognize a few of our Bryan Broadcasting publications.
Best of the Brazos Valley.
Brazos Life, the annual manual.
Welcome home, Brazos Valley.
Brazos Family. Brazos Wellness.
Brazos Valley Bride.
Peace, Brazos Christian Life.
With the combined power of 7 magazine titles, 11 radio stations, and digital solutions, Bryan Broadcasting Publications can help you be heard. Call 979-695-9595 to learn more.
Who knew mowing could be this fun? Hi, this is David from Kairos Truck Center inviting you to come down and take a test drive on one of our zero-turn mowers from Cub Cadet or Ferris. There's no better way to social distance than getting outdoors. At Kairos Truck Center, we offer zero money down and 0% interest on all our zero-turn mowers. At Kairos Truck Center, we make mowing as close to fun as it gets. Kairos Truck Center, Highway 21, half a mile east of the bypass in Bryan.
You can hear Astros baseball on the Zone, 1150 AM and 93.7 FM, plus Gospel 97.3 FM. Astros baseball on Bryan Broadcasting is brought to you by Kelly Burt Dozer. Listen in as the Astros contend for the AL West title. Listen in as the Astros battle for the best record in the American League. Listen in as the Astros contend for another World Series title. Astros baseball on the Zone and Gospel 97.3 FM is brought to you by Kelly Burt Dozer and in part by First Financial Bank.